War of the Spark previews have begun and the set's actually outrageous. We're about to see Magic change forever. I hope you're as excited as I am for this crazy Planeswalker nonsense. Without further ado, let me introduce you to the craziness that is War of the Spark. I do hope you enjoyed this preview video, and if you do, be sure to hit that like button, it helps out a lot. Ignite the Beacon is 5 mana for an instant. Search your library for up to 2 Planeswalker cards, reveal them, put them into your hand, then shuffle your library. War of the Spark is a set full of Planeswalkers, 36 to be exact, and Ignite the Beacon is going to let you search your library for the exact 2 that you want at instant speed. That's what makes this card so bonkers for me, the instant speed. If Planeswalkers in this set are as useful as I think they're going to be, I don't see why Ignite the Beacon can't get some serious standard play in a control type deck that's looking to cast 5 mana instants at the end of your opponent's turn. Instant speed, seriously. Now, if you want to get really hyped for this card, Commander, imagine this in Atraxa Super Friends, even something as simple as Captain Sisay. Double tutor, instant speed, can't go wrong. This card is very good. Ravnica War is 4 mana for a sorcery, exile all multicolored permanents. The heart of Ravnica disappeared before anyone could strike a blow in its defense. Wow, this card is powerful in the feels department. If we're talking playability, exiling all multicolored permanents is very strong, considering we're about to dive into a set that will assuredly have a bunch of multicolored planeswalkers, guild-aligned, and bolus-aligned cards. You can bet your sweet patootie this can see play. And it exiles all of them? What does that say about the future of Ravnica? My goodness. I think we're on the precipice of something terrible. This card is absolutely standard playable as long as a deck exists that utilizes a number of powerful multicolored cards. Of course, if a deck like that doesn't exist, it's still pretty decent against blue-red drakes, anything with Hydroid Crisis, not bad. Flux Chandler is 3 mana for a 2/2 human wizard. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, Proliferate. What? Proliferate is back? Oh, what? Batten down the hatches, people were at DEFCON 5 billion. Proliferate is one of the most infamous mechanics in all of Magic. Bringing it back in this set means that we're going to be proliferating Planeswalker loyalty counters like nobody's business. Just when I thought things couldn't get more out of hand, this happens, and the Channeler isn't difficult to trigger at all. It's any non-creature spell in a set designed for Planeswalkers. I can't even right now. I have no idea I'm gonna get through the rest of this video. Flux Chandler, you stupid, crazy uncommons, totally unreal. I don't even know what's happening anymore. Also, Atraxa in Commander, still freaking out. No Escape is 3 mana for an instant. Counter target creature or planeswalker spell. If that spell is countered this way, exile it instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard, scry 1. Making sure the card is exiled instead of put into the graveyard gives us a lot of value, especially in a standard format where recurring cards is a thing. Scry 1 is a nice nod as well, but the real reason this card caught my eye was the story implications. No Escape? Do you see what's above the Hallowed Fountain? That's the Immortal Sun, like the Immortal Sun, which means that the planeswalkers brought to Ravnica can't escape. Oh, hot dang, that's just wow, that's scary stuff ahead. Herald of the Dreadhorde is 4 mana for a 3/2 zombie warrior. When it dies, amass 2. Put 2+1/+1 counters on an army you control. If you don't control one, create a 0/0 black zombie army creature token first. New mechanic time. Amass basically creates a zombie out of nowhere, or it makes an existing zombie bigger, representing the size of a zombie army. Flavorful mechanic. In this card in particular, a 3/2 dies and then either creates a 2/2 or it gives +2/+2 to an existing zombie army. I like it for limited, replaces itself when it dies, not much more to say than that mechanic. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing some more of it. Dreadhorde Invasion is 2 mana for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and amass 1. Whenever a zombie token you control with power 6 or greater attacks, it gains a lifelink until end of turn. First things first. Whenever a zombie token with power 6 or greater attacks, doesn't have to be a zombie army token, and that's cool. Second, and this was brought up when the card was revealed, this feels similar to Bitter Blossom. Remember, if you don't have a zombie army token, this will create a 1/1 at the cost of 1 life. If you do have a zombie army token, you'll be paying 1 life to give it a +1/+1 counter. Now, obviously it's more useful as a 1/1 chump blocker factory, but you can't overlook cards like these. It isn't as impactful as Bitter Blossom, of course, but it provides resilience and power to a deck looking to either stall or take advantage of the zombie hordes. If only we had a sign of whether or not zombies might be a thing in standard, huh? Liliana Dreadhorde General is 4 of anything and 2 black for a 6 loyalty legendary planeswalker. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. You can +1 and create a 2/2 zombie creature token. You can also -4, and each player sacrifices 2 creatures, and you can -9, and each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. Liliana is fierce. First off, that art is outrageously cool. She's looking crazy awesome. Now let's talk power. She's 6 mana for a 6 loyalty planeswalker that can immediately go to 7. That's a lot of loyalty, but at a high cost. Creating a 2/2 is nothing to write home about, but it is some inherent protection for Liliana as she ticks up. What I'm interested in is her second ability. It's basically barter and blood on a stick, and I shouldn't have to tell you how powerful that can be. She can come down, wipe the board maybe, and start creating 2/2 zombies. We live in a standard format where expensive walkers see play. It isn't unheard of for a 5 or 6 mana walker to be a staple in a deck. Liliana can absolutely be that as well, as long as her -4 is as strong as I think it will be. Between Amass, this Liliana, and M19 Liliana, something's in the air, just saying. Rasca's finisher is 3 mana for a 3/2 Gorgon Assassin, great creature type. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls that was dealt damage this turn. Fine card. 3 mana for a 3/2 is just good enough to be limited playable, and it nukes a walker if it took any damage. It's good enough for me. Even if it just killed a creature dealt damage this turn, it'd still be limited playable. This way, much better, solid common. Ajani the Great-Hearted is 2 of anything, 1 green and 1 white for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker. Creatures you control have vigilance. You can +1 and you gain 3 life. You can also -2 and put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control and a loyalty counter on each other planeswalker you control. Alright. Ajani is actually going to be one of the more sought after cards in this set because he adds loyalty counters to planeswalkers. Look at Ajani Steadfast. This card is outrageously popular in Commander because of that -2. It's almost $10 right now because of that ability, and while Ajani the Great-Hearted isn't as powerful, it is still very strong and will demand a premium for Commander. This is a bit of #MTG failance warning. If the Great-Hearted ends up being only $1 or $2, grab as many as you can because that -2 ability, that is evergreen. It'll be useful forever, trust me. Invade the City is 1 of anything, 1 blue and 1 red for a sorcery, amass X, where X is the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard. That's so much amassing! You're gonna create a giant zombie army. It's gonna be so big. Even in Standard, you can absolutely run this in one of the blue-red spell-slinging decks. 3 mana to create a 10/10 zombie army? That isn't that far out of the realm of possibility in Standard right now. If you splash these colors into a black zombie army deck that is spell-based, using a lot of amass, Grixis zombie army with Nicol Bolas can totally be on theme and strong. I think this is an avenue I'm gonna have to start exploring. Get it? Explore, you know, it's the mechanic and whatever, let's move on. Tezzeret, Master of the Bridge, is 4 of anything, 1 blue and 1 black for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker. Creature and planeswalker spells you cast have affinity for artifacts. You can +2 and Tezzeret deals X damage to each opponent, where X is the number of artifacts you control, you gain X life. You can also -3 and return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. And you can -8 and exile the top 10 cards of your library. Put all artifact cards from among them onto the battlefield. I'll get this out of the way right now. What? Tezzeret is going to be in Commander for the rest of time, coming with a static ability that gives all walkers and creatures affinity. Not like that's one of the most broken mechanics of all time or anything. Can you imagine this card in something like Breya or Sidri or Shawroom? I mean, what's Wizards doing? They're throwing so much insanity at this format that it'll explode. Going from 5 to 7 to nuke every other player and gain a bunch of life based on the number of artifacts you control, everyone is going to hate you. But you'll be so hard to kill, and you can recur twice after a single uptick. I don't even care about that ultimate. Just let me +2 over and over again, killing the entire table. Tezzeret's strong, very strong. Affinity on all creatures and walkers? What even is Magic the Gathering anymore? Rasca, Swarm's Eminence, is 2 of anything and 2 hybrid black and green mana for a 5 loyalty legendary planeswalker. Whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals damage to a player or planeswalker, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. She can -2 and create a 1/1 black assassin creature token with Death Touch, and whenever this creature deals damage to a planeswalker, destroy that planeswalker. Okay, first uncommon planeswalker, so Rasca feels very much like an enchantment. She comes with a triggered ability to help out her little Death Touchers get bigger. Her -2 is interesting, creating a solid blocker and potential planeswalker hitman. What's super interesting is that she -2s twice and is left at 1 loyalty, which means Proliferate is definitely going to be more of a fundamental mechanic in this set. Otherwise, she's just sitting there with that ability doing nothing. I suppose you can't expect too much out of an uncommon planeswalker, but I love this direction. It is very cool. Widespread Brutality is 1 of anything, 1 black and 2 red for a sorcery, amass 2, then the army you amass deals damage equal to its power to each non-army creature. Talk about your efficient board wipes, hot dang. If we're looking to create some army tribal goodness, Widespread Brutality is a 4-mana board wipe a lot of the time. Amass creating an army token if you don't have one is very strong, and these are the kinds of cards we need to look out for in this set. Zombie army tribal, yeah, I think we might see something good here. Certainly playable in Standard in any deck utilizing this amass mechanic. Emergency Zone is an uncommon non-basic land card that you can tap to add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. You can also pay 1, tap it, and sacrifice it, and you may cast spells this turn as though they had flash. I can't be the only one thinking this, but this is in the same standard format as Crucible of Worlds, and the same standard format as Wilderness Reclamation, which means that you'll be able to float a bunch of mana, sacrifice this, and play a giant Hydroid Krasis. I'm just saying, Emergency Zone might be one of the most deceptively powerful cards in this set, absolutely playable in the right standard deck, and a bomb in Commander, a format that adores granting flash to basically everything. Look at Vidalcan and Orrery, one of the most beloved cards in Commander. Emergency Zone obviously isn't as powerful, but it's good enough. Look out for this card, it's strong. Interplanar Beacon is a non-basic land card, and whenever you cast a Planeswalker spell, you gain 1 life. You can also tap it to add 1 colorless to your mana pool. You can also pay 1 of anything and tap it to add 2 mana of different colors. Spend this mana only to cast Planeswalker spells? Hot dang, fixin' for walkers? Sign me up every single day forever. Really no downside to this card as long as your deck is full of walkers. If Walker Tribal ends up being a thing, this is straight up 2 mana for any 2 mana you want as long as they aren't the same color. Which will probably be fine because Tribal Walkers likely need lots of different colors. Solid card. Can easily see this in a Walker heavy standard deck. It's pretty cool. I don't know about all of you, but the set is honestly outrageous already. So many walkers, so much synergy, zombies everywhere, being amassed. This is truly going to be a war of the ages. It feels reminiscent of the war on Dominaria all those years ago. I think we're about to see Ravnica forever changed or, destroyed. I need to know what you're thinking about all these cards, so please let me know in the comments. What do you like, dislike, what do you want to see? Please, I need to know how you're feeling, and of course, be sure to stay tuned to the channel for the latest and most reliable War of the Spark spoiler information you could ever need. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. This video is brought to you in part by TCGplayer.com. The set's already promising to be full of nonsense, which means you gotta get on the good deals right now. Ajani Steadfast is a powerful commander card and is definitely going to benefit from all these walkers. I think right now is the perfect time to grab one before it goes off the charts. You can get copies of the walker-friendly Catboy for only $8 right now by clicking the link on the screen. Trust me, you won't regret it, and it helps the channel out. Enjoy!